Barbara, thank you very much for your talk. I applaud your focus on our free will as the essence of our humanity. The problem is that very often we don't exercise that freedom with the kind of relaxed, rational, careful way in which it would be done ideally. John Paul Sartre talks about freedom as dizziness, where there are too many choices and we can't decide what we want to do, or dread, where we don't want to decide. So you have situations where people who have the freedom are having difficulty exercising that freedom. You might remember the movie Runaway Bride, where the heroine could never get to the altar because of her dread, I think, of what that was going to be. My dad 5 years ago asked me to be his durable power of attorney, and I don't know what to do, because he said every time I ask him what to do, he says, that's your decision, not his. And so my question to you is, how do you help people exercise the freedom that we have in this area?
Well, there will always be a certain number of people who decide by not deciding. And in effect, they are deciding to let nature take its course, to leave the doctors in charge, to submit to high doses of pain medication that may render them unconscious. And my view has always been the people who choose not to decide, that decision should be honored as well. That too is a decision. Now, not filling out advance directives and not naming a surrogate, and if you have a feeling that you would be that surrogate, that does create a rather an extraordinary burden on you. And if all I can say is that if I were in your position, I would probably be checking things out with my dad periodically, sort of bringing up scenarios and saying, gee, Dad, I would think that if you were in this, and if I'm going to be your decision maker, I would think if you were in this situation, I would want this and this and this. What do you think? And sort of building my own little cache of things that he said so that I could apply them when the decision-making falls to me. But we can't force people to confront their mortality who really are quite comfortable pretending or acting as though it won't ever happen.
Thank you. It's nice to have you here. You mentioned the lawsuit that Compassion and Caring filed and was thrown out. I'd like to know the reasoning behind that. And I'm also curious, in the case with this woman described to us when the doctors would not follow any of the orders, what are the effects of a lawsuit, saying, I'm calling a lawyer immediately? And in what way do the medical boards prevent doctors, through their code of ethics, from doing exactly what we're asking?
As I said, medical codes of ethics are that, and the law is clear, that patients are in charge. There's really no question about that unless there's an accusation that the patient is not capable of making decisions, that their judgment is so severely impaired that they're not capable of making decisions. And then it takes a specific process to take decision-making capacity away from them and say, we're going to be making your decisions because you are not capable. Now, of course, if they're unconscious, that goes without saying. This was not the case here. It sounds as though he was alert and he was even speaking. Margaret Furlong was exhibiting her wishes by answering yes-no questions by squeezing her son's hand. Our lawsuit was thrown out, our lawsuit for failure to honor advance directive and causing a family emotional distress because of tort reform in the state of California. This is one of the most severe tort reform states in the nation, where any claim for pain and suffering dies with the patient. And so, quite simply, no one has the authority to bring a claim like that. And this is one of the things that we hope to change or modify in the not too distant future, and that is that the advance directives laws in every state immunize medical professionals if they follow them. If you follow the wishes that are articulated in this document, you are immune from civil prosecution. It also says if you don't follow the instructions in this advance directive, you're also immune from civil prosecution. So advance directive laws are really kind of an insurance policy for physicians as well. We have been after some kind of accountability for a long, long time to say that when an advance directive is clearly violated and everyone agrees that there's a conscious decision not to abide by the decisions that the wishes that are articulated therein, there needs to be some kind of professional sanction. So we're on that, and we hope to be able to achieve that.
Ms. Coombs Lee, I'd like you to address the perspective of young people on what is often viewed as an older person's issue, the one that you've raised. And I do think younger people do pay attention to this issue. I'm reminded of the young person who said, "I want to die in my sleep like my grandfather, not yelling and screaming like the passengers in his car." In particular, I'd ask you if your group has thought at all about how it might use the whole presence of pets in American families as an opportunity to learn about how to approach end of life, in this case the end of a pet's life, with compassion and care as to how this is understood and what actions are taken.
Mm-hmm. We are about decision-making by capable people. And that's why I said that we do not support the legalization of euthanasia for humans as euthanasia is legal for adults. It's just a different situation. I think that people, and certainly the public at this point, is squarely behind people being able to make decisions for themselves. The majority of people are not squarely behind other people being able to make decisions for us. So we see our issue as a liberty issue, as a justice issue, that people who are able to make their own decisions should be able to do so.
Today at the City Club of Cleveland, we have been listening to Barbara Coombs Lee, President of Compassionate Choices. Thank you, Ms. Lee. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This forum is now adjourned.
For information on upcoming speakers or for podcasts of the City Club, go to cityclub.org.